Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is a review of Nolach The Kaldane from Tarzan The Epic Adventures by Trendmasters. So this was an Edgar Rice Burroughs line of toys, and a lot of the toys came from Mars or Barsoom, and this is one of them. So this is like a 5-inch or 5.5-inch figure. We're going to see how he fits in with, say, Masters of the Universe in a few minutes. But the packaging is quite nice. It sits very well, and the packaging on the back shows all the different toys, which you've probably seen if you've seen the other reviews. And so let me go ahead and just recap what a Kaldane is before we get started. So this right here is the Kaldane. So it's a little creature that's mostly brain that crawls around on these spider legs, and he's got little claws on here. And this is its Rykor. The body is this headless creature called the Rykor. And on the little figure I've already reviewed, so he's about 3.75 inches tall, about like a 4.5-inch scale or something. So he doesn't come apart, and his legs are permanently out, which they shouldn't be according to the novel. So there's some definite limitations here. So already I'm seeing a Kaldane that's separate from the body, so that gets me really excited. And I see some other details in there directly from the novel that, you know, give me real hopes that this is a really, really cool figure of a Kaldane, which I never thought we would get. I mean, a Kaldane only appears in one novel, They Are Erased, that appears in Chessmen of Mars. And so it's pretty amazing to get not one, but 3 toys of a Kaldane. And I'll talk about the third one that Trendmasters produced at the end of this review. All right. So here's everything he comes with right out of the box. So you get a Tarzan badge, just like most of the other figures, and it looks very nice. You can actually wear it, but you are going to get a ton of duplicates if you collect this line. He also comes with this very nice cape, and it has a lot of cool texture, like it's made out of reptile skin. He also comes with a sword, and it's nice and shiny. Look at how pretty that is. And it is the exact same sword that came with Tarkus, which makes sense because, I mean, it's a Martian weapon, so there would probably be kind of standardized sorts of swords they might have. And here is the Kaldane. So this is very, very nicely detailed. You can see all the texture that's on his legs and his little claws there, the nice texture on the head. Again, you know, like I said in my other review, in the novel, this is a darker color. Here it's colored white, which I think looks cool. I think it works. And the nice thing is, this isn't just a peg to go into the Rykor's body. This is actually molded like it's tentacles, which is exactly what it's described to be in the novel. So they have these tentacles that will attach to the Rykor's spinal cord that allow them to ride the Rykor and control its body. So that's a really, really cool bit of detail that they put in there. Now, I was hoping that the legs would be removable, because the legs aren't supposed to be showing when the Kaldane mounts to Rykor. There's supposed to be a harness that will hide the legs, and unfortunately, I don't think you can recreate that with the figure. I think it's still legs out, but it's still cool. It's still nice that they put that much detail into the Kaldane. And let's take a look at the Rykor. So he's got a lot of nice detailing in his armor. And it's very shiny vac metal armor, nice little spikes and stuff on his armor. And you can see that there is, you know, kind of reptile scales on there. As I was saying in my previous video, the Rykors are bred from an animal, and they eventually evolved to have no head. And I think the premise of this figure is that the animal may have been some kind of reptile. If that's true in the novel or not is debatable. They're described as having very perfect bodies by Martian standards, and so that probably wouldn't include scales. But, you know, artistic interpretation is always fun. And this is the Rykor's head, and this is actually its mouth. Now, the Kaldane will peg in here to, you know, become the head of the Rykor. But this is actually the way it's described in the novel, that they have these mouths where their necks are that they'll eat like slop out of. Like when the Kaldanes aren't riding them, that's how they survive, is they just like feed slop into this hole. It's really freaky. They are an absolutely freaky race. And as you can see, there's some plastic around some of the snap-on armor pieces to keep them on. This is true of both the legs and this armlet right here. This just is in place by itself. This is really molded just to like put right on the body. You know, it just fits very tightly on there, as does this arm band, which I'm assuming will come off. We will see. I'm going to go ahead and remove that plastic and just see how well those pieces will stay on. So everything's cut, and as you can see, everything is staying on there just fine, so that's great. So let's go ahead and see, you know, how he does with his accessories. So the sword fits okay. This is actually really great in his hand. So that's fantastic. So yeah, he's got a really good secure grip on his shiny sword. All right, we're going to do his cape. And there's a hole in the back right there. And by the way, look at all the nice scaling on the back. This is really cool. He looks very much like a snake. That's kind of the motif that they're going with here. And it pegs right on. So now I've got a headless Rykor with a cape and a sword. And so now let's peg in the Rykor. All right, and he pegged right in. And so that's what he looks like. Again, the legs shouldn't be showing according to the novel, but, you know, you have to make some cuts and compromises somewhere. So let's explore articulation. So his legs will move. He can be in a sitting pose and all that good stuff. His arms move. And that's probably about it. Well, his head can rotate, but it wants to kind of pop out if I do that too much. I don't think his head's really made to rotate, but you can probably get him in a little bit of different positions, but mainly, you know, because he's got these legs, he's going to have his head looking forward. You know, there's not a lot he can do because he's got these legs kind of blocking his motion on the head anyway. But anyway, so that is what you get out of your Kaldane and Rykor. And I just want to show you the Rykor body without the armor. Looks quite nice. Like I said, a lot of detailing. And again, the armor just snaps on just like that. So it's pretty simple. It's just made to, you know, fit right on his body. So it can come off, though, you know, if you're moving them around. So, you know, that's why that plastic's there. But it doesn't look like it was as difficult as it was on Tarkus. So Tarkus, you know, definitely some of that armor was going to come off if you moved it around. Here it's a little ow. Okay, these spikes are a little sharp. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, this armor is much more secure. So that's really cool. And the nice thing about removing the armor is it makes the Rykor a little more accurate to the novel, because the Kaldane did not consider the Rykor to be anything other than an animal to be rode on and eaten eventually. So this is, more in keeping with the novel, at least as far as the Rykor, what the Rykor is wearing, even though, obviously Kaldane's legs are still showing. So here he is with the Tarzan from the Tarzan The Epic Adventures line. And so as you can see, they both fit in together. They're both about 5.5 inches tall. The Rykor is a little thicker than Tarzan, and if he stood up straight would be a little taller, which is in keeping with the novel because Rykors that were for Kaldane kings like Nolach are described as being of heroic proportions, so they would be, bigger and more muscular than a normal human. And as you can see, he fits in really well with Masters of the Universe figures. So here he is with the Evil Horde, and he looks pretty good. And so just for fun, I wanted to see how much compatibility there was between the two lines. As you can see, it's very limited on how those armor pieces would fit on a Masters figure because they're so sculpted to fit the Rykor. So for instance, these armor pieces wouldn't work on here because he's already got boots on. It's specifically, his armor on the chest is specifically for the Rykor's chest, so it doesn't fit on the standard Masters Universe buck. However, the little bits of armor he was wearing on his arms are compatible with Masters, and you can put the sword in a Masters of the Universe figure's hand. It looks a little odd, but it'll fit. Masters fit weapons will fit in the Rykor's hands. The harness, the Rykor's body is actually a little smaller, so it looks a bit too big for him. But if you put the Kaldane on, it actually kind of covers that up if you can get it on. Not every armor piece would probably allow for that. And one thing I do want to caution, while I was doing this video, I discovered that these are very thin and can bend if you don't get them in that hole on top of the Rykor exactly right. So just be very, very careful about that when you're going in and out of the Rykor with your Kaldane there. You don't want to accidentally bend these to the point where they might break off or something. And so overall, I highly recommend this figure. It's nicely sculpted, it's well executed. Other than the legs sticking out when the Kaldane is riding the Rykor, I really wish you could have been able to remove those legs, but, I understand, compromises need to be made sometimes when you're making toys. And if you're looking for a figure that would be compatible, that would look right fighting this guy, there is none on the scale of Dietrich Thorez or John Carter. However, there is a Tarzan of Mars figure in this line, same scale, and he is wearing armor straight out of the Frank Frazetta Mars covers. So, when you look at those covers that Frank Frazetta did for the Burroughs novels of Martian Warriors, he's actually wearing that stuff. So that would be perfect. I don't own that figure, but I will be getting that at some point, and I'll, of course, do a review. But next time, I want to look at another Kaldane figure. Yes, there were actually 3 different toys put out of Kaldanes, which is kind of crazy. And so the third one, though, is really, really small. It's actually a little figurine included in a Mighty Max style playset set on Barsoon. So join us next time as I review the mini playset, The Valley of Bantoon.